It's a pleasure to be here. I don't think I've ever spoken to so many great Americans in my life. It's just a pleasure. Big shout out to the 1st District. Thank you for your endorsement. Thanks for everything you do. We're going to beat liberal Tim Walz in this election. Now, the reason I'm running for Congress is the same reason that you're here today. Because we know our country's in trouble, and we need to make big, bold changes to our country, or we're going to lose it the way the forefathers put it together. I'm also running because we've had enough of Republicans winning election and not doing enough with it. We need to govern with the courage of our conservative convictions in Washington, St. Paul, and locally. Thank you. I stand for the big, bold reforms and solutions in Washington to take the power from the politicians, the bureaucrats, the interest groups, and send it back to the states and the people. And if we follow that model for transportation, education, taxation, veterans, environment, welfare, we'll have a better country, a better state, and better communities. Now, in addition to limiting our government, which is very important, we need to reconnect with the principles that made this country great to begin with. Peace through strength. Ronald Reagan taught us, he showed us, that we can be a strong country, we can influence the world, we can defeat our enemies, but we don't have to be involved in ground wars of diminishing returns. Free enterprise capitalism. The Democrats say, you make it, they'll take it. That's not working. The economy's bogged down with too much government. We need regulatory reform, tax reform, welfare reform in order to get this economy rolling. U.S. energy independence, that's very important. We also need the rule of law. Whether it's EPA regulations or whether it's amnesty for illegal aliens, Tim Walz believes in the rule of Obama. That's the way he votes. We need the rule of law and to redefine and get back to the U.S. Constitution and the basic laws of our country. We also need to protect our God-given rights, and for that means the right to life, the right to keep and bear arms, and the right to religious freedom. Now, let's get to Tim Walz. He's the most liberal congressman in the history of southern Minnesota, but he tells us that he's reaching across the aisle in bipartisan fashion in Washington. Nothing could be further from the truth. Let's set the record straight for Congressman Walz. When you vote for Obamacare, when you vote for amnesty for illegal aliens, when you vote for Obama's Iran deal, when you vote for ridiculous EPA regulations against farmers, when you support abortion in the 7th, 8th, 9th month of pregnancy, that's not reaching across the aisle to Republicans. That's gesturing across the aisle at Republicans and misrepresenting the people of southern Minnesota. Now, he's a liberal on all fronts, and we could talk about a number of issues, but we'll just talk about radical Islam right now. Walz is so liberal and politically correct that he won't call it radical Islam. He's for Obama's open borders and amnesty. He supports all these programs that have brought in hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people improperly vetted. Worse yet, he votes to close the Guantanamo Bay prison in Cuba, and somebody once asked him, well, when you bring those terrorists in for trial, where are they going to end up? And the congressman said, well, if they end up in Rochester's Federal Medical Center, that's just fine with him. Can you believe it? A congressman inviting the terrorists into his district? The guy's wrong about all of this. Radical Islam is the enemy. We need to secure America's borders. We need to protect the country from people with radical attitudes. I've called for a refugee program timeout. And when it comes to the Guantanamo Bay prison, we should not just keep it open, but for those Islamic terrorists, we don't need to be giving them Miranda rights. We should be giving them the last rights and defending our country. Now, we had a close election last time. It was 54-46. We just came up a little bit short, and all we needed was your support. So today I brought our NRA duffel bag, and I hope you'll fill it up and give us the ammunition we need to beat Tim Walz. We'll be walking around the room and hopefully get your contributions. But the election sets up very nicely for us. Southern Minnesota is a strong area for conservatism. Hillary Clinton is not well liked. And let's be honest, the Democrat position is very weak. If the Obama administration wasn't so corrupt, Hillary Clinton would be introducing herself to cellmates, not vice presidential running mates at this time. Now, Clinton and Walz offer Obama's third term. Nobody wants that. They offer a Supreme Court with liberals that are going to take away our right to keep and bear arms and our religious freedom. On the other side, our nominee, Donald Trump, and myself will run for big, bold reforms to secure our borders, to protect our country, to get the economy rolling, to do what needs to be done to make our country great again. My friends, please support our campaign. Let's beat Walz. Let's win this election. Let's take back our country. Let's restore America's greatness. Thank you.